Hey, Magalava. Today we're gonna go and check out NINJARONIN, tattoo artist, great tattoo artist. We're gonna go check him out. Go talk with him and conversate with him. So come on, let's go for a ride and jump in the camera, man.
So a lot of the palang is like, oh man, you got good energy.
Yeah,
Eh?
because we know how to fatamaki,
Iyo.
we know how to click
Iyo.
with people.
Iyo.
So
Oku vela hika.
just
Iyo.
no, if I go like this, yeah, but it's
Okay,
not
okay.
because this they got good AC in here. Huh?
Oh man.
I can tell right when I walked in. Right when I walked in too, man. Yeah.
I be telling my clients like, hey, dress warm because it's cold in here.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
This why I got the little heater.
Yeah, that hit, man. You walk in through the doors, it's nice and cool. Moko moko today. You walk into here, it's even more moko moko too. You know what I mean? So, but man, I want to thank you first of all. Malo abito si tuwi fo taimi. Malo tuwi fo taimi kita ki fataha. Talaga ki popolave pe, you know. So thank you, man. Thank you for your time. I mean, everybody's time is precious. Everybody has things to do with their time, and for you to take time off just to conversate with me again, we Popolave, it's a great thing.
No,
But
I'm happy to be here.
yeah,
So
well, thank you, brother. Well, let me get through the first questions.
okay.
So the first question is, take us back to the beginning of what made you want to be a tattoo artist? What made you growing up in Tonga or California or something? What made you want to be a tattoo artist?
I think kind of just thinking about that, like what made me want to be a tattoo artist. Um, what really pulled me into tattooing was just survival mode, right?
Oh wow, that's interesting.
You I had to make a living, right? I had to make a living. I had to figure out a way to do something with my life. Um, what I didn't realize in the beginning, that culture was always there for me, right? Culture was very foundational in how I do the work now, right? Born and raised in Tonga, my parents migrated here in the 80s. And at the time, I when I was in Tonga, I did see tattooing when I was little, but it didn't leave a big impression in my mind for me to pursue it.
Right,
Because the survival mode wasn't even there. I was
right.
still young, right? But as soon as I came out to Hawaii and came of age, I had to help out my parents. So I did the only thing that came natural to me was art because I was already an artist when I was young, but I wasn't a tattooer or a tattoo artist because these three things they're all different,
Right.
you know. So I still had to learn how to be a tattoo artist, but like I said, culture was the foundation already without me knowing it at the time. And because I had to figure out a way to support myself, I picked tattooing. I went through a lot of different occupation, different jobs. It's not to say that those jobs wasn't for me. Most of those jobs were yachting, was constructions,
Yeah.
right? And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either um, they pay you too little, not enough for your effort, or no
You
pay at
work
all. You
no
don't
pay
get
at all,
paid. Yeah.
and the long hours, the
Ew.
long hours,
Ew.
eh?
But I always knew that I was gonna do something with my talent, which was art.
Right.
I just didn't know it would be tattooing. If it wasn't tattooing, it would be something else
With
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 art.
art,
Yeah.
with
So
artwork.
uh, that's how I kind of got
Yeah.
pulled in. Like I said, migrated over here in the '90s. Parents came in the '80s. So I grew up in Tonga and in Hawaii in a few different cultures. Because I
Yeah.
think culture is very important. So yeah.
So with you saying like it's an art. Like for me, I mean, with your art, it's hard for me to think of how to draw, what to draw, and things like that. Did that come naturally to you, or to see something and to kind of to copy it in your eye, or
Um, Man, that's a good question. I don't think it came naturally to me, but it did. I just had an easier time looking at things and interpreting it in my mind to paper.
right?
Because a lot of my clients they always say like, "Man, you're lucky. You're lucky that you have a God-given talent, right? But I think if it's God-given, why do I still have to work at perfecting it? I still have
Right.
to sharpen it,
Yes.
right? I still have to work at getting good at tattooing or drawing. So yeah, it wasn't something that you know. Even though it was natural, where like, because I think talent is how we look at things and how we
Right.
interpret that in our mind. We both
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
talent. We just choose it to use in different ways, I think. Yeah, because you know what, like I said, a lot of my clients, they don't, I always tell these to a lot of my clients that we're all artists in our own different ways,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because our artists, my brush might be different from yours.
Nice.
Living is an art.
Yeah.
So, that's how I kind of think of
Man, that's pretty tight. Maria. Maria.
it.
In the Tongan culture, the tufunga is called a tatatau, right?
Yeah.
That carries the responsibilities. How do you describe that role to people who just know you as a tattoo artist? Does that make?
Ew. No, no, it makes sense. I'm just trying to like gather my thoughts
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the first part of the question. I think with the first part,
Uh huh.
the Tongan Tufunga, that title I don't claim.
Oh,
That title is not mine to claim, and that first part of that question, I don't have the right to answer that. Um, I think I believe that question goes to another Tongan Tufunga. His name is Isaiah Toitu. He operates out in Hawaii. I would be very keen to hear what he has to say. I'm always learning from people before me about the Tufunga craft as well as the tattooing. But what I can answer is the second part of that question. I can talk about the responsibility that I have as just a Tongan cultural tattoo artist,
right.
right? It's not to say that that responsibility is less important than the Tufunga, uh, but as a tattoo artist, I think I have cultural responsibility. I have cultural responsibility. I also have a responsibility to educate my clients, educate myself to educate my clients as well in the culture and what they're getting, the importance of the patterns as well. Um, you know, and I also have the responsibility to the business and to my artistry.
Right.
So, um, yeah, I think those two, they have a big part in your role as a tattoo artist. I think cultural responsibility is me educating um, clients, non-Polynesian and also Polynesian people that comes to me, right? Educating them in the importance of the tattoo that I'm gonna put them, that I'm gonna put on them, right? And their actions is gonna affect that because once they carry that tattoo, there is certain things that comes with that.
Right.
So, I think those are that's what I mean by cultural tattoo,
Yeah.
cultural responsibilities.
And yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what I was trying to get at with that question. And
Ew,
yeah, because we are responsible. We are for our culture
ew.
to keep going, to move forward, to pivot forward, and to evolve. So it is a part of our way. So that's hell yeah. We worked all over, right? California, Alaska, Washington, places like that, right? And so my question is, in throughout the years, um, in other people's parlors, you they teach you about the craft and business also when you were working there, or did you just have to learn things on your own in that way?
No, I think the way I kind of look at it, different shops is a different environment. Different environment is a different soil. Different soil is a different culture.
Okay.
And you have to learn about those different culture. I work with Polis, I work with Mikos, I work with Palangi, and what I learned over the years working with them, they all have different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
You know, so I got to witness front row seat how they treat their business. It's not just tattooing, right?
Yeah.
We're not just slapping artwork on people. These artwork mean something to the client. I also had to learn that in different areas, a certain demographic. Um, they operate in a whole different level. They do so. I had to talk to people in a whole different way.
Yeah.
When a poly comes in through the door, it's different to me talking to a Polynesian person, to a Palangi, to Asian uli
Yeah.
uli. All these things that I learned from working in different shops, different artists. It's not just copycatting the work. I think it's really educating yourselves in understanding their mindset in the business, in how they conduct themselves as tattoo artists, as well as understanding why they do things the way they do it. I
Yeah.
think so.
Man, fight back the interview with the funky fair, but we can just talk right through it too. You know what I mean? It makes it more easier, I think, in the
It
head.
was more smooth.
It's smoother, eh?
Iyo,
Because we're I don't know about other people you talk to, but for me, the
Vamos
conversation
sa iyo.
instead of
Iyo, iyo,
question and
iyo,
answer,
iyo,
eh? I think a conversation makes it a lot easier, and it kind of connects us a lot easier and easier
iyo,
for us and makes things pretty cool. That's what I feel and think.
iyo. When I work with a Miko at a Miko shop,
Yeah,
a lot of their clients would be Mikos,
right.
right? And then I had to approach them in a whole different way. What works for Palangis or Polynesian is not gonna work for Miko,
You're
for
right.
Miko
Yeah,
people. So also understanding the clients, right?
yeah.
Those are some of the things that I learned in the shop. Um, Poly people, we're a lot more relaxed.
Really?
We're very
Then,
easy.
yeah,
Very easy. There's exceptions,
right.
right? There's some polys where they're very specific about what they want to get, but I think the most Final Four is one are polys,
Yeah,
right? They come and then they're I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of the poly work, the tribal where they don't a lot of it is freehand, so they kind of just completely give you that trust. I mean, I do have Palangi people, they see the work, they see the credibility, and it's just like Final Four. Like it's
yeah,
very, very easy. They kind of like, hey, look, I trust you. But yeah, kind of understanding certain areas helps in the business aspect of it. As far as like, I learned even art stuff from Miko's, Filipinos, and I apply that into my work.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and sometimes you'll see it in the way I do my work. The tribal stuff. So
Most people
Okay.
know more about the Samoan Pea than the Tongan tattoo.
you
How do you explain what makes differences in the designs and things like that?
I think before we kind of like dive into the tattoo,
Yeah,
right? We can look at these two cultures, Tonga and Samoa.
right.
We're very similar. It's almost the same.
Yes.
We're basically the same people
Yeah.
that ended up in different rocks,
And
right?
exactly.
Because if you look at a lot of things in these two culture, the way it's structured, it's almost the same,
Right.
right? A lot of similarities, but it doesn't mean it's the same. But it's it's like you cannot tell the history of Tonga without Samoa, vice
Right.
versa,
You have
right?
to
These two
tell
things will always come up.
hand in hand.
People are too busy trying to give it like to separate Tonga and
Yeah.
Samoa, but I feel like we have more reasons to be connected. And if rightfully so. The reason why a lot of people recognize the Samoan Pe'a because that practice stayed alive
Right.
till today. People don't even need to look at the patterns. They only look at the silhouette of the tattoo and they're like, oh, there's a Samoan Pe'a. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why the Samoan Pe'a is very recognizable till today because that practice is still going. And a lot of people think that it's a Samoan tattoo, but Tonga did have a Pe'a. But the way it's structured, I talk about this in one of my videos in my IG,
Hmm.
that the way it's structured is very similar, right? But you see like little tweaks here and there. Like sometimes people might just look at a Tongan Pe'a and just think it's a Samoan
Samoan.
Pe'a because of
Yeah.
the practice is still going on.
Right.
But it's the reason why it's because the structure is very similar. But if you really really look at it, if you look at the va'a, which is the part that
Which is
comes up over
right.
here. Yeah, the Tongan one is thicker, right? And the Tongan one, it only stops above the knee.
Yeah.
the structure is very similar, but still, these are two distinct cultures. But we are, pretty much the same.
Yeah.
If you look at the way our hierarchy system is set up, it's almost the same.
Right.
Just tweaks here and there. The closer the island, the more
The more
relatable and
similar.
similar
The more
they
similar.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear the language, it's almost the food, the language, the structure of the face,
Yeah.
the culture, almost all the same, right? But the further away it kind of works, depending on how it goes, you'll start hearing it fade into something else.
A different dialect
Iyo,
or a different style in the
iyo,
tattooing. Yeah.
iyo.
So yeah, and so that's how you can
It's how it's structured.
yeah,
That's what the silhouette leaves an imprint in people's mind because they don't need to look at the patterns. They
yeah,
just look at the shape of it and they're like, oh, that's a Samoan tattoo.
yeah,
But if we want to get technical, then that's when a lot of the kupesi kind of comes in,
yeah.
right?
So the kupesi things coming on the technical side.
You,
Okay.
I mean, kind of just hearing the question right now, it taught me something because I look at a lot of the Tongan kupesi. A lot of it is symmetrical.
Okay.
Is symmetrical geometry is there, but if you look at the pe'a, it's symmetrical. Imagine if one side looked a certain way and the other,
Yeah.
it would, it just goes to show that our ancestors uh, were very ahead of their time,
Yeah.
right? They figure that it's going to look better if it mirrors it. And if you look at individual patterns, the kupesi, a lot of it is all, it's symmetrical as well, but we use the symmetry in whole different ways, Samoa and
Yeah.
Tongan, but still similar. You
Ah. But you know what? I never thought about that until
know,
were saying that.
you
But I also learned something new today too. Like you were saying, like for us, the va'a or the vaka, I mean, is the it's thicker up here,
know,
which I have seen a
you
couple guys who has had it, and it stops at the top of the
above the
knee,
knee. Yeah,
above the
that's how
knee,
and
and that's
then
another way to tell the difference, eh?
there's only one drawing of the Tongan pe'a. If you look at it, the Tongan one has more black. There's more black, and
Oh.
I could just be theorizing here, but uh, black was a very dominant color, right? If you look at the ngatu
Right,
uli,
he's
that
not uri.
belongs to the household of the king,
Right,
right? And
right.
then the only one that was getting tattooed then were the
Were the
royalties,
royals, what the
the tu'a,
royals, the to'as?
you know,
Yeah,
the commoners, the tu'as, they weren't getting tattooed. They weren't getting that tattoo,
yeah,
right? So, from what I learned and heard, a lot of the royalties would, because the Tongan hands can't touch
right. As a
the
Tongan,
royalty,
yes,
right? If you look at the putu, it's the same thing.
yeah.
Like it has to be from a different um
It has to be a different culture. It has to be a
deal
different people, not
because
the commoners.
deal.
That's why in the Taumafakava, for the king, we always have kohaipe
If you look at the way that that's for tutu,
yeah,
for Inofogo, yeah, no one sits close.
right. He's by himself,
Deal.
eh? And so that brings it where when you do that with the
You know what? This is kind of like this is kind of a different topic, but Afa, I caught one of his videos where
Mhm.
I don't know, I could be, don't quote me on this, but I know Afa kind of says something where he wouldn't want to be a tufunga, tata tau, right? And at first, when I first heard it, I didn't understand, right? But like now that we're talking about it, the
Yeah,
reason why is because only the royalties was getting the tata
the
tau.
tao.
So I don't know if that's his whole mindset on that, where he
Yeah,
wouldn't want to be because it almost feels like he's saying he doesn't have the right to do the
the
tata tau
tao.
because only the royalty, the house of the king, was getting these tattoos,
Yeah.
right? Because people of higher lineage. It was so I don't know if that's how he kind of like was thinking
Well,
about it. I honestly
yeah.
don't know, but then I was thinking that could just be that could be a part of it. Yeah, because I talked to Uno, and then I talked to another girl from Australia.
Yeah.
But Uno, she sent me a lot of. She worked. I guess she nanga with a British museum, eh?
Mm-hmm.
But then sent me my ume Allahi. Ume na puke he museum gonna.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know. Ko u po vai mo u ngatu mo u fala mo mea. Mo tu ai go si kapai si o ke if people look at it nowadays, kapate na sio na to. Asi for all we are now to.
That's how much it's evolved, eh?
Yo, asi for all we are now to. Asi for all we are now to na pe na to ko mea ko kupesi
Ko pes
ko
ta
toki
fa o,
toki
eh? Ko
yo ko
toki
toki
ngahi
fa ma
ngahi
toki.
fa ngane tuk fa.
Eh? Um, but no, I think one of the things that helped with the way I do the work as well is I grew up in Tonga and I got to saw that a little bit. I think I remember going to school. They had us doing ngau whamea.
Mm.
You know, it's where you do, it's a arts and crafts type of thing. You get to ngahi like stuff people cover things like that. Ume up ahead, and then like kind of growing up in the in that era, I got to see the art was already what's to be westernized, but it was
Oh,
but it was still
you saw that you already started seeing the changes in it.
because you know what, looking at a lot of the Tongan looking at a lot of the Tongan artists now, um, their work is very. I don't want to put this in the wrong way because I don't want to put anybody down, right? That's something like when I structure a lot of the kupesi, I structure it the way I remember that when I saw it back over there. So that's
Wow.
why it has that feel, right? One of the videos I talk about patterns is what you feel, structure is, something like that. I forgot what it was. No, patterns is what you see, structure is what you feel,
What you
and it
feel?
goes into the question of, how can people how people recognize the Samoan pattern. They don't even need to look at the patterns, right? They
Yeah.
just look at the silhouette of the pattern and they know it. Oh,
And
that's a
then
Samoan
yeah.
tattoo. That's what I mean. Like it's the way the kupesi is structured, right? The kupesi has its structure that goes in it, and there's another structure that the kupesi needs to go. The way that I can kind of put it is like the kupesi needs to go in the right bowl. If it doesn't go in the right bowl, the right structure, it's gonna look
It'll look off.
it's gonna look off in a certain way. It's still gonna look Polynesian, but it's not gonna have that Tongan feel,
Yeah.
right? It's almost like using the right tool for the right thing, right?
Right.
You can't eat soup with a fork. You
Right.
can still finish it, but it's gonna take you a long
But it's
time.
right. Same
You
concept. Same
you
concept. With what
you
yeah.
So it has to go in the right household.
Yeah.
I think Alpha also talks about that. He talks about how a lot of the Tongan artists are putting the kupesi in the Samoan
Mix
infrastructure.
mixing it up.
You
Eh?
can mix it, but like it's gonna lose the genuine Tongan feel.
Yeah.
Still Polynesian, still in the Polynesian umbrella, but it's gonna
It'll miss that.
to eat that were viewed as for
Ko
otua.
otua. And we couldn't
Yes,
hit
you better know she not to it. I like
iyo.
yeah, commoners.
Pe ko mea nei ave ko ki he kakai tau pepe ko ka muri pe ko kai
Iyo,
o kai ko hatonga.
iyo,
Na nau alo ai ki ha mo ta tau na tol. E
iyo.
nai o tapu ke tawala ta tol he sino.
Oh yeah. Otua,
Iyo.
somebody of higher,
Yeah.
status.
Iyo.
So that could be it. Like I said, I'm just theorizing here.
Yeah.
There's no solid evidence
Yeah.
to back that up. But I think, uh, you know, and then another reason why this could kind of go into like why a lot of people only recognize the Samoan Bell. The Tongan one was stopped.
Right. Religion.
Yes,
And it was stopped by Taufa Ahau,
you,
the king.
it got stopped, but the art still survived.
Right.
Right, they stopped the Tata Tau, but the art still survived. A lot of it was in the Ngatu, a lot of it was in carving.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was in the carving first.
In the Tatongi.
You, you know, uh, I could be wrong here again. If you look at a lot of the carvings, I think all the patterns is there. You just have to know how to look at it, right?
Yeah.
In my early tattoo career, when I first looked at a lot of the Popolave, my eyes were still an infant.
Right.
I didn't understand it yet, right? And I still had some learning to do. Later, years later, I looked at it again and it was different. My eyes grew up.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
my my, my understanding was different. And at first, I was thinking like, man, what the heck are these patterns? And looking at it now, it's all there. So I don't know if the ngatu came in after the carvings because they had the pigment
Yeah.
color.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the way the ngatu is drawn out, it's a little bit different from the carving. It's because they get to kind of fill in some of the space, color in
The
some of the
color it. Yeah.
deal. So I don't know. And then if you look at another thing in the Tatong Tongi, you see a lot of the little man figures,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I think I don't know if Fiji has it, but Tonga is the only one that I've noticed it in it so far. That's why you'll see me doing some pieces and you see those little man figures,
Yeah.
right? Those are not. I did not make that up. Though I'm going back to a lot of the
Designs then
the when the
the
design was
artwork,
still pure.
yeah, the artwork back then.
You um I kind of started diving in deep into it. Like I said, this goes into one of your questions earlier, like what is my responsibility as a tattoo artist, right? That's another responsibility that you have is that you have to educate yourself in the craft, your artistry,
Right.
right? You're not just putting just patterns
Right.
on people, right? In the beginning, the survival mode, I'm on the survival mode, so I'm too busy trying to learn the technique of the craft, right? As soon as the survival mode is always going to be there, I think,
Right.
right? But it switches. And then I did it to the point where I started looking at my work and I'm like, man, how come my work looks like everybody else, right? And it was heavily influenced by the Samoan because their practice was kept
Was
alive.
kept alive. That was passed down and passed down and
Yeah,
passed down.
and then I started kind of looking back at a lot of the traditional arts and craft of Tonga. I started like, you know, I try to look at like old stuff. Before, if you look at a lot of the ngatus nowadays, it's very Western influence because of the
Yes.
diaspora of the Tongan
Yeah.
people. We've been living here like generations and generations,
Yeah.
and it's getting to a point where our art is kind of diluted. It's not. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, right?
Right.
But if you wanna be honest with your artistry, then you have to kind of like go back to when the ngatu was still pure.
Right.
We all use the same pattern, but it's how you structure. You go back to the way the culture
Yeah.
was still almost pure. Um, you know, so a lot of those was in the museum. I talked to what's his name, Uno, Heru.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
this is I don't know if you know her. I think it's Futa's
Daughter, I
daughter.
think. Yeah.
And
I've heard of her. I've heard of her.
oh yeah, I picked her brains on a lot of things, and kind of check stuff. Uh, why was the kupesi made? What is the purpose? Can we still create kupesi the same as when our ancestors uh, still make it? And as she said, and I'm a firm believer, but sometimes I check things that I think about,
Yeah.
right? Eo,
You have to check for yourself.
eo.
I,
I question my philosophy,
yeah. Yeah.
eo. Double checking to see like if things comes up twice, eo.
When someone comes in, Tongan or not, how do you decide what designs are appropriate for them, for that person? Do you have a protocol? Do you have a way you follow things? How do you decide, okay, this will look good on this guy?
I think doing something for long enough, you start developing a philosophy, like I said earlier, and a protocol in how you do things, right? And the protocols are more guidelines to make things run smoother, right? When a non-Polynesian, it doesn't matter for me, Polynesian or non-Polynesian come, like it's not like a one size fits all, right? There's a lot of grays
Right.
in there, right? So let's say it's a non-Polynesian. So this kind of goes into what I was talking about earlier. I have to educate myself in the client that comes in, right? I have to keep uh, peeling the pages back to understand why this person wants to get this tattoo, right? And I have to educate them in the importance and the heavy burden of the patterns as well, right? Because no matter after what I put on them, like what they do, that's on them, right?
Yeah.
But I already educate them in the culture as well. But sometimes I don't. It depends, right? If they come in and they're asking for a Polynesian tattoo, if they're Palangi, a lot of the Palangis they have their own culture. You know, they could be Scottish or Irish or and I try to kind of go that route and tell them like, hey, you know what, these are fun, but let's kind of build because like once you kind of learn how to tattoo the kupesi, you understand Samoa and Filipino, you understand structure,
Hmm.
you understand, you almost understand the culture based on the structure of how their tattoo is laid out, right? And if they are some of that, it could be Viking or something that I
Yeah.
try to go that way. If the last saying is still theirs. If they still choose to go with the
If they
poly
go
stuff,
with that design
yeah,
that you put together for them.
yeah. I try to like I can try to like do a Nordic piece and then maybe sneak in little poly stuff so that way I'm staying true to their culture,
Right.
which is something I started doing later. In the beginning, I would just tattoo anybody, any poly stuff, no matter what
Yeah.
I do. Like I know that they're gonna like it anyway. And then I got wiser and older, and I was like, it challenges me too. It teaches me to do other stuff. Um, but yeah, like if they still want to go with the Polynesian stuff, I tell them like, hey, you know what, these tattoo right here, this is a mixture of Tongan and Samoan and whatever, right? If it's just only Tongan, then I'll tell them, hey, this is a Tongan tattoo,
Yeah.
making sure that they understand, right?
And that's part of that educating before that you were saying,
Yeah,
educating
yeah.
them
On the
on the
patterns,
patterns, on
on
the
on
art.
the art, on the culture, and
Yeah.
and it's not always just there's always people always have an appreciation for the Polynesian culture.
Yeah.
Maybe they're married into the culture, maybe they've been around
Right.
Polys, right? And they're like, man, I really really love your art, and it's a way to preserve the art,
Right.
right?
It.
Imagine the art dying out, then what? What
You,
are we gonna?
yeah. There's this word gets thrown around a lot that I hear, and it's culture appropriation.
you
Eh? That word gets thrown around a lot, and what you just brought up is something that I truly believe in.
you
If it is someone that is hanging out with us,
you
that it's not Tongan, or someone that loves the culture
you
who is not Tongan, then I believe they have a right to do to get that artwork on them,
you
because
you
that to me that makes me proud, because they carry the culture of our culture with them.
you
And
you
yeah, I totally agree with you on that one.
I think by heritage, everyone has partial ownership of the art, right? But the only thing is, I have full ownership because I am the one doing the tattoo.
Right.
It's the patterns is ours, but the art is still mine.
Right. You still have to put it together.
Yes, I learned the basic fundamentals of the kupesi and things like that. You know, I mean, there's so many there's so many variables that we got to think about. And I need to know what it means cultural appropriation,
Yeah.
right? So that way I can kind of know how to like dissect that whole question,
Yeah.
right? Like, whatever that means to people out there. Because I know most people they're gonna say, "Oh, these are our sacred
This is
patterns,"
our sacred. Yeah. This is
right?
ours. This is our sacred thing.
Um, I don't know.
You know what I found? A lot of people who tell me that, especially with me and what I do, and I'm not trying to just talk about myself, but what I find is when I go to do the Faikava, there will be always people there that will be like, "Oh, isn't that they're now culturally appropriating our kava now?"
Yeah,
I had a question like that in it where they were saying, "Oh, now they're culturally appropriating our kava."
yeah,
Man, and what I wanted to write on there, but because everything I do, I want to be positive.
yeah,
But what I wanted to write on there is, okay, so will you tell me what you know about kava?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
kava is for something for us to share
yeah,
knowledge,
yeah,
and the kava in itself is a knowledge.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
There's a lot of grays. A lot of grays.
yeah,
It's kind of hard to address that question. Because my client today and my client from yesterday and my client from the day before yesterday,
Yeah.
all ask me these questions.
Yeah.
They ask me, I used to be on the other side of that. I used to see Palani people, and I'll be like, man, why the heck are all these Palangis like having a poly art, and that was the not knowing,
Yeah.
not knowing, not understanding, right? And then I got into tattooing, and I got educated. I mean, even a lot of the Samoan tufungas,
Yeah.
they speak on that. They say that like it is our right to tattoo non-Polynesian. We have ownership of this, and it is we pick and choose who we're going to tattoo. We're not going to turn them down.
Turn them away and turn them down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
turn them down. Like the art, um, where the kufungas, I think, are they have the ownership of what it is that they do.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because a lot of the times, um, that's why you see other ethnic groups with great looking tattoos because they understand the value of what they're coming in for,
Right.
right? And the person that deserves the tattoo more wants to go to the garage, edit that out. The person that by heritage, by right,
Yeah.
should be wearing this, are the same people that's complaining like, oh man, it's my muffa,
Yeah.
right? Because if they say, oh, these are our sacred patterns, right? Okay, if it's what does it mean when something is sacred,
Yes.
right? They're gonna say it's priceless. Okay, if it's priceless, why do you say that it's
You want it for
expensive?
free.
The patterns are free. My
Yeah.
time and my art is not. The patterns are free. My
Yeah.
time and my art is not.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
You see how I kind of just put that,
Yeah.
right? The patterns is tatotongi, but the my time and my craft,
Uh,
that's what you're paying for,
right.
right? Because what I put on people, I feel like with the price that I charge them, tattooing. This is something I always tell people. Tattooing is one of the few craft in the world that after when it's done, the value of that tattoo, it grows. It
Yeah.
gets more expensive, right? If you do a bad tattoo, the value of that goes down
Right.
because it's now you have to fix it, right? So that's it. I don't know. It's one of the I think that's the real reason why a lot of polys dislike non Polynesian people
Non-poly.
because when they see they have their tattoo is better than what they
Yeah.
got at the garage,
Right. Right.
you know. Um, I think the majority of it, that's what it is,
Yeah.
you know.
They want it, but they don't want to pay for it. That's
Ew,
more or less what it is. I was
ew,
fighting with these guys, and um, you know, Tu'u, Tu'u.
Tongan sniper from Fast.
So Tu'u, one of Tu'u's friends, was there, and they're joking around with that fight, and he's like, "So, what, you gonna give me the homie discount?"
Yeah,
You know.
yeah,
And right away, I was thinking, that's not right because
yeah,
he has a family or he has his time,
yeah,
but all you're asking is for that discount. You're looking for yourself,
yeah,
for something like that. And so I truly don't believe in the homie hookup.
yeah,
I
yeah,
do if that person has it, if
yeah,
that person has been in it for, or in a place in his life
yeah,
where he can,
yeah,
But most of the time, this is what it's just like us going to clock in for work.
yeah,
That's what I feel
yeah.
with that.
Yeah, because the tattoo is for you,
Right,
right? The tattoo
right.
is for you, so you're not getting something, and you're getting something that can mate mo you.
Yeah, this is for life.
You're gonna that tattoo is gonna be with you until you're dead.
Yeah, and it's knowledge that you have on
Ew,
you that got put on you. Is
ew,
this,
ew,
it's whoever your tattoo person. That's his knowledge that he uses to put it on you.
ew.
Okay, we almost getting close to the end.
No, man, take your time, bro. I'm not even.
So I got this one here is over the years, what is a tattoo a client you will never forget that you did?
I think all my clients,
Yeah,
because all my clients they put their trust in me. They believe, not only they put their trust,
Yeah.
but they believe in the artistry of my craft. Right, all my clients are stepping stones that I built upon. My business, my craft, um, and my artistry. Without them, then I wouldn't be who I am now.
Yeah.
You know, um,
But
like
but is there one tattoo piece that you really not that's the best, but very memorable, something that you remember, somebody or a piece that you put on? Do you have that, or is it just everyone?
yeah, just everyone. I get
Okay.
I have people asking me like, hey, what's the what do you think your best
Yeah.
tattoo, right? If I was to say it's a piece from 5 years ago, that means I'm stuck there,
Oh wow, that's yeah.
right?
Okay.
So every time, I used to say it's the one I'm working on as my favorite,
Yeah.
or but now the goal changes for me because it's not even like I said earlier, like, right, the honesty and the responsibility to your artistry of your craft. It's like, am I putting 100 in this piece? You you
Yeah.
know, um, the question for me is like, is this tattoo going to stand the test of time?
Yeah.
I'm not competing with nobody but myself,
But right.
so if I say, oh, it was like 3 days ago, that means like I kind of just I'm stopped
You're still
learning.
yeah.
I don't want to learn anything else.
You don't want to progress anymore.
You know,
Man,
so
that's an awesome answer, dude.
I think it's always that's why I say every tattoo is a stepping stone to refining my craftsmanship.
Yeah.
So it's the client, every client. You'll see, like, if you look at my work, I wish I had still had some of my work on MySpace. If you look at it, you'll see the progression, right? The change of the
Yeah.
mindset from survival to just um, perfecting and refining my craft. Now you'll see a big difference, right?
Yeah.
um, you know I think for me it's always, you know that's why I don't follow any poly artists,
Yeah.
right? I don't follow any poly artists out of respect for them.
Okay.
I don't want
Yeah.
to copy their work,
Right. Right. Okay.
right? I respect what they already. I don't want their artwork to influence my
What you do?
artistry in what I'm gonna put on my client.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't follow nobody.
Man, that's
um,
pretty awesome
it's a
thinking. Yeah.
mental clean
That's awesome. That's pretty awesome thinking.
cleanse.
I never thought of that. That's pretty tight.
I mean, you ever notice?
That's a true artist right there. Where you don't want to step on other people's toes.
You
You know what I mean? That
you
man.
it's staying true. That's the honesty in the artist that I was talking about earlier, right? You
Yeah.
got to ask yourself, like, because I started noticing my work started looking like everybody else,
Yeah.
and then I was like, man, why? I asked myself, man, what can I do to make my work look different? So I started unfollowing poly artists back in. I've done it like a few times. It's a
Yeah.
mental cleanse, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like if you can lose weight by
Uh,
watching what you eat, you can
yeah.
do the same thing with your mind.
A mental
Your
cleansing.
mental
Yeah.
cleanse, right? So I started unfollowing artists because I felt like every morning I wake up, I grab my phone and I'm on IG, social
Yeah.
media. If that's all I look at, that mentally programs your way of thinking before you go in and you start tattooing.
Yeah. You're not progressing
You
yourself.
now you're getting lazy because
Right.
you're like copy something without
Yeah.
even knowing,
Yep.
right? So I'll keep drawing. If I gotta draw for an hour and a half or two to find originality in my work, then I'll do it. And I have to let my brain struggle.
To get it, to
Eel,
have it move forward, you have
right?
to go over
You have
that,
to.
man.
If lifting weight is putting pressure on you, you have to figure out a way to like lift weight with your mind by putting pressure, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes we copy without even knowing it. Like, you ever notice when you hang around with your friends, whoever you hang around with the most, you start doing the
You
same
start
things.
doing what they do, saying little things that they say.
There you
Yeah.
go. That's how it works. Um, I look at other artists, but not poly artists, out of
Okay.
respect for their craftsmanship. They worked hard at developing their style, so I'm not gonna copy what they worked hard over the years to
Yeah.
develop. So out of respect for their talent, their voice, their craftsmanship, I need to figure out how to let my brain struggle. I
So that you
already
can
learned.
get over that. So you can get over that
You
that hill, that bump.
I already learned the basic fundamentals of the patterns.
Yeah.
Right? They're all the same in a lot of the culture. Now I got to figure out how to structure.
Yeah.
Comes back to structure. So,
Ah, yeah.
that's how.
No, that's tight, dude. I never thought about it like that, you know? That's Maria Alpito. Maria Alpito, Alpito, how you said that. Okay, man, we got. Hey, what the last one? What? What we have hey, hey, you know what I would say? Time flies when you're having fun, eh? But I'm gonna skip this one, the number 9, because we kind of talked about it over through our conversation. You know what I mean? Through yeah. Okay, so you don't have your own shop, your own chair. What kind of legacy? Okay, so now you have your own shop, right? And you what kind of legacy do you want to leave for the next generation of the young tattoo up and coming artists? What do you want to leave for them? Let's say if you have more people coming into your shop, what would you help? What do you want to pass on?
I think this kind of goes into what I was saying earlier. Like you do something for so long, you start developing a philosophy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, educate yourself in your craft. Then you define your life wealth in different ways, right? You define success in different ways. Like if you was to ask me what I think about success in my 20s, it's going to be different,
Yeah.
right? Versus now, to me, it's all about passing on what I've learned, what I've,
Right.
this is kind of just became like my life's work.
Yeah.
I built my whole way of thinking in how an artist, right? In culture, all these, I think that's all I can do, right? Because there comes a time and point we start understanding that we're only renting here
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit,
Yeah.
right? That we're gonna move
Then we're
on,
gonna yep.
right? And it's more of like the knowledge that we pass on to the next generation that comes up. We're only holding the torch for a little bit, but if I could pass on the knowledge, it's just educating whoever I teach in the culture,
Yeah.
right? Teaching them everything that I know, but just passing that on. I feel like um, knowledge echoes throughout the century. It's like charging your phone, but you never use it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just now you just you know what I used to hear my dad say this before he passed. Like kapag aonga ko kataha, then your life is tayo aonga.
Yeah.
Iyo,
Yeah. And that's
iyo,
exactly what that's the same saying that was said to me, and I understand totally
iyo,
what you mean.
iyo.
Yeah.
And you've lived a
Your
useless life.
useless life. Your life is
Iyo.
useless if you can't
Then
help.
kapag aonga ko kataha,
Yeah.
iyo, then
Yeah.
just basically but that's what it is. Just passing on what I've learned, the knowledge about the craft, and hoping that they can do it better than I did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally. Totally understand that.
That's a, you know, that's it. Nothing special. You
Well, man, I want to thank you again. I want to thank you again for taking the time to sit down, get the talano, the popolave. It's always fun for me to get the talano.
you
I think this is the first time we've talano on camera,
Ew,
with this.
ew.
So yeah, this is the first time that me and NINJARONIN has sat down actually to talk on film.
Ew.
But we talk a lot, we
Ew.
do. And I love it. So I want to thank you, man. Thank you for your time. And do you have any questions for me or anything?
No, man. You know what? Thank you for having me. It was fun. Just to
Yeah.
kind of share a little bit of the little knowledge that I have. So it was fun to finally kind of sit down and chop it up.
Malo, it is fun. It was fun and it is fun. Malo, Pito. So how'd you get your name?
Man, you know what? The reason how I got my name was they used to call me the Tongan Ninja
Oh,
at the Hamua shop that I work at,
Eh.
and the reason why they call me the Tongan Ninja because every time the Pule he would want to go somewhere in Eva, also Popolave, and then they started calling me the Tongan Ninja. And it just they just kept on calling me that. Oh, and then they didn't call me that no more. So but they at that shop they would always call me Ninja. But the Ronin was something that I kind of came up with because the Ronin is more of a loner.
Right, exactly. It's a ninja with no master.
Ew. Ew. And but they always seem to find their way.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's exactly. I kind of reflect on that, and I was like, okay, this kind of. I needed a name to describe my characteristic, who I am as a person. I'm a loner. But I know how to socialize.
Yeah.
I'm by nature I'm quiet, but I'll talk if I have to, so it's not weird.
Exactly. It's funny you say that. I'm an introvert.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
But I talk if there's, like you say, if there's something to be talked about.
Ew.
I force myself to talk.
Ew.
Yeah. And the reason I do that is because growing up, like, yeah.
Ew.
And when